Good morning. How is everybody today? I rolled over and went right back to sleep, and the cat decided about an hour later that that was not acceptable. I probably would have gotten up like I was supposed to if I hadn't been awake thinking, my brain not being able to slow down till like, I don't know, must have been midnight. Okay. So we're still working on card 42. In each other we find ourselves. There are times when a spiritual path requires separation from a collective and the consciousness it holds. We may feel an internal disconnection from society during these phases. As we sift through societal conditioning, casting aside that which does not strike us as truth and seeking alternative views. As we distill our consciousness, we discover a new way to be. Then, when it's time, we naturally seek to live and share this internal truth with others. We reach out to our tribe to discover new tribes and integrating into the social fold with our precious offering of rarefied awareness. We realize that conflict with social values serves a purpose. It helps us clarify our own consciousness so we grow stronger spiritually, psychologically, and emotionally. Our offering to our communities can then become apparently a word, numinous, alchemical wisdom. Well, that was very wordy. Our offering to our communities can then become numinous, alchemical wisdom. A person in alignment becomes a conduit for the intellectual life itself. Their personal journey has a transpersonal effect. They become sacred activists at a deep level of being. In and through their presence, things happen. They become a natural catalyst for healing transformation. A human enriched with Ubuntu is open to others, encouraging the good in other human beings. They are self-assured, knowing that they have inviolate place and purpose in life. That's pretty cool. I think it's more interesting though. I was reading, there was a meme that came through a couple days ago about quiet quitting, and I didn't like it at all. It was this, I've seen it a couple different places, and it really makes me uncomfortable when I see it, because it makes, so what quiet quitting apparently is it's this thing that's going around where you only do what your job is. You do just your job. You don't volunteer for anything. You don't go above and beyond. You just do what you were hired to do. And I've had trouble with that because it has made me very uncomfortable, and I didn't like the phrase. Well, then this morning there was another meme that came through, and it was talking about how quiet quitting is victim blaming, and that you have the right to do exactly what it was. You have the right to protest by not going above and beyond, and by choosing to do your job and not doing all these extra things. And it's this word of, or rule of word or something like that. I read it really quickly, but the part that sat with me was the victim blaming. And I think that's exactly why I've been feeling uncomfortable about it, because I had somebody I talked to a while ago when I first left the hotel made a comment about, well, you could have done the quiet quitting. I was like, no, I couldn't have. But I think the biggest problem that I had with the statement was it is very victim blaming. And I didn't feel comfortable. You know, I'll own when I do something wrong, okay? I'll own it. I'll fall on the sword of my own inadequacy, and I will own that. If I could do better, I own it. You know, I'm a big proponent of, you know, I mess up. I'm not perfect. But I know that in that particular instant that I was in a bad place. I was being taken advantage of. I was being treated unfairly. And I'm not complaining, but I don't feel like it's right to blame me and to quietly quit in that circumstance, to just continue on and allow that behavior to continue, is abuse. And if you're in a job, if you're in a position, God, if I could share this with anybody, if you're in a job and you're in a position and you have tried to self-advocate and say, hey, I can't keep doing this. You've done the things that your adult professional knowledge tells you to do. You know, like I documented, I talked to my boss, I repeatedly asked verbally, I asked in writing, and then I followed it up with an accommodation request in writing. I did all of the things I was supposed to do. I probably should have given them 2 weeks notice. That would have been another appropriate thing to do. But I was also really, really sick at that point. So anyway, if you've done all the things that you can do, right, to help yourself, to make it better, then you can walk away. Yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, there are consequences to every action. You know, I'm looking at today's daily devotion, and it says, we may feel an internal disconnection from society during these phases as we sift through societal conditioning, casting aside that which does not strike us as truth and seeking alternative views. I feel like my entire life has been this. And if I can share one thing with anyone, is that, yeah, you got to pay your bills, okay? You got to pay your bills, and you got to have a roof over your head, and you need to have food in your mouth. Like, you're not going to be anybody that's able to participate in things if you can't make your basic needs. But on the other side of that, we as a society need to help people get there. Not do it for them, but help them. Technically, based on my disability, I should have accommodations wherever I work. I should have accommodations in writing. I didn't know that. I didn't know I qualified for that. I didn't know that my autism and my ADHD qualify me for help with vocational rehab. I had no idea. In my head, vocational rehab was you lopped off a leg in the military and you needed retraining when you came back to the States and you got better. Like, I don't know where I got that from. I have no idea. It's obviously wrong. It's not the only reason vocational rehab is there, right? We all need to be here for one another. And I really think that the phrase quiet quitting is very abusive to the whole situation. It adds abuse. It adds a layer of trauma and a layer of angst to the person who is trying really hard to navigate a work environment that's already toxic. If somebody's pushed to the point of using the term quiet quitting, it means they're worn out. It means they're overstretched, that they've been emotionally and or physically stretched to the absolute edge. And instead of quiet quitting, they need support and they need the okay to do just their job. And they need help maybe advocating the situation. I mean, something that could really help pretty much everybody in every work environment, especially these young people coming in where they don't know what to say. I had a young kid that worked for me before I left, and he was having a situation that he felt bullied, but he didn't know how to navigate that situation, and we had to sit down and we had to talk about exactly what the circumstance was. And I had to help him understand what bullying is, what hostile work environment is. How do you navigate that? How do you do that well without quitting, right? Because he was like, well, I'm just going to have to quit. And I went, well, I would rather talk about it first. And he did. He was very appreciative of it. And he was like, oh, well, I didn't understand and I didn't know. And I think he came out of the other side feeling much better, and he still ended up leaving that position, but I had already left at that point. But that was okay because he had a little bit more tools in his toolbox to deal with other situations moving forward. We're not working in vacuums, people. We all have, every job out there, you work with people, whether it be over the computer or in person. There's a lot of customer service positions right now. And I think a lot of them are being left empty because there's a lack of training and understanding of how to work with people. And honestly, the public, when they go out, they're meaner to waitresses and servers. You know, I've seen it when I smile and I'm polite to a server. It's like I'm the only one in the world who's done that all day to them. And I feel really horrible about that because since COVID, it's just gotten worse. Anyway, I don't mean to sound preachy. It's something I think about. I think about I'm going out and looking for work, but I'm more and more not looking in full-time positions because I don't know that I can give all of myself to anything right now. I feel like I need to ease into something, and I don't know how to do that. And that's probably why it's on the top of my head. And quiet quitting was really bothering me, and I really wanted to address that. Like, it's not a good phrase, and it's not healthy, and it's a cry for help is what it is. And if that's a big trend, if that really is a thing, then we need to address what's underneath it. It's that cry for help. People are needing support and they need advocacy. And I don't know how to get it to them. I have no idea how to go from point A to point B, but if somebody knows how to do that, that needs to be addressed. And that worries me because that's a cultural thing. And it means there's a bigger problem. And why do I worry about big things like that? Because they matter. And I'm a carer. And I worry about things like that. Okay, I'm going to separate from that right now. There's so much to do. I hope you all have a beautiful day, my lovelies, and enjoy the sunshine and the birds. I'm hearing more birds today. It's beautiful. Have a blessed day, and I will see you tomorrow in prayer. Blessed be.